Karolina Protsenko's story reflects how talent can grow in unexpected ways when nurtured in the right environment. Born into a musical family, she was surrounded by sound, rhythm, and expression from the very beginning of her life. What started as a simple childhood interest in the violin gradually transformed into a global presence through online platforms. Her performances reached millions of people who were drawn not only to her technical skill, but also to the emotional depth she brought to every piece. However, behind the admiration and viral success lies a more complex reality of discipline, pressure, and growing up under constant visibility. Her journey is not only about becoming a young musician admired worldwide, but also about learning how to balance personal identity with public expectation. This story explores her development step by step, showing both the beauty and the hidden emotional challenges of being a young artist in the digital age. Early life and musical environment. Karolina's early life was shaped by a deeply musical household where sound was part of everyday living rather than something special or separate. Her parents, both trained musicians, naturally surrounded her with instruments, practice sessions, and creative expression. In such an environment, music was not introduced as a task, but experienced as a living language. This made her relationship with sound feel effortless and instinctive. She did not approach the violin as a difficult object to master, but as something familiar, almost like an extension of what she already knew from listening to her parents and absorbing their practice routines. Because of this natural exposure, her sensitivity to tone and rhythm developed quietly but strongly. She began to respond emotionally to music before she even understood its technical structure. Instead of being pressured into performance, she was gently guided, allowing curiosity to lead her development. This created a strong, emotional foundation where expression mattered just as much as precision. Over time, her home became the first space where her artistic identity formed naturally, not through pressure but through daily immersion. This early foundation later helped her connect with audiences on a deeper emotional level, because her music was rooted in feeling rather than obligation or forced discipline. Migration and new beginnings in a different country. When Karolina's family moved from Ukraine to the United States, her life entered a completely new phase filled with both opportunity and adjustment. This transition was not easy, as it involved adapting to a different culture, language, and educational system. For a young child, these changes could have been overwhelming, but they also opened doors to structured musical training and wider exposure. In California, she began formal violin education where discipline and technique were emphasized more strictly than before. This helped her refine her natural talent into a more controlled and polished skill set. At the same time, she had to balance school life, language learning, and musical practice, which required maturity beyond her age. Despite these challenges, she progressed quickly, showing both emotional depth and technical understanding in her performances. Teachers noticed that she did not simply replicate instructions, but added feeling and interpretation to every piece she played. This combination of structure and emotion set her apart early on. Her migration experience also strengthened her adaptability, teaching her how to remain focused even in unfamiliar environments. Instead of losing her artistic identity during this transition, she expanded it, blending her natural sensitivity with disciplined training that would later define her musical style. The street performance that transformed everything. A turning point in Karolina's life came unexpectedly during a simple street performance in Santa Monica. What was meant to be a casual and joyful experience of playing music in public turned into a moment that changed her entire future. As she performed a familiar modern piece, her emotional expression and natural stage presence drew attention from people passing by. They stopped not because of advertisement or planning, but because something in her playing felt genuine and moving. The open environment, combined with her sincerity, created a powerful connection between performer and audience. Soon, people began recording the moment, and within a short time, the performance spread widely across digital platforms. This sudden visibility introduced her to millions of viewers around the world. Unlike traditional musicians who gradually build recognition through competitions or formal stages, her rise happened organically and unexpectedly. While this moment opened new opportunities, it also introduced her to the unpredictable nature of internet fame. Positive attention came quickly, but so did public judgment and expectations. For a young performer, this shift was both exciting and overwhelming, marking the beginning of a life where personal expression would always exist alongside public observation and global attention. Rise of online fame and global attention. After her viral moment, Karolina's online presence expanded rapidly, turning her into a globally recognized young musician. Her videos began reaching millions of viewers regularly, and her audience grew across different countries and cultures. People were drawn to her ability to reinterpret popular music through the violin, blending classical technique with modern emotion in a way that felt accessible and refreshing. However, with this growth came increasing pressure. Each new performance was no longer just a personal expression but something measured against previous success. This created an ongoing expectation to maintain or exceed her earlier achievements. While she continued to enjoy playing music, the environment around her became more structured and demanding. Social media platforms encouraged constant output, which meant her creativity often had to align with schedules and audience demand. Over time, her identity as a musician began merging with her online persona, making it harder to separate personal enjoyment from public responsibility. Even so, she remained committed to her craft, continuing to explore new styles and share performances with her global audience. This stage of her journey reflects both the opportunities and pressures of growing up in a digital world where talent and visibility are closely connected and constantly evaluated. Childhood under public observation. As Karolina's popularity increased, her everyday life became more organized and closely monitored. Unlike most children, her routine included not only school and play but also practice sessions, recordings, and public engagement. This combination created a lifestyle where childhood and professional responsibility existed side by side. While she often appeared confident and happy in her performances, her daily reality required careful planning and discipline. Her time was divided between education, music practice, and content creation, leaving limited space for unstructured childhood experiences. Her parents played an important role in guiding and protecting her, ensuring that she remained grounded despite growing fame. However, being in the public eye meant that many aspects of her life were visible to audiences, reducing the privacy most children naturally experience. Every performance, expression, and appearance could be seen and analyzed by thousands or even millions of viewers. This level of visibility is rare for someone so young and creates a unique emotional environment. While it can offer opportunities for growth and recognition, it also brings challenges related to identity and personal space. Karolina's experience reflects how modern digital fame can shape childhood in ways that blend personal development with constant public observation. Television recognition and wider exposure. Karolina's appearance on television marked another important stage in her growing journey as a musician. Performing in a professional studio environment introduced her to a different kind of audience compared to online viewers. This setting required a new level of focus and confidence, as live studio performances often carry a sense of formality and expectation. She managed to adapt her playing style effectively, maintaining emotional depth while performing under structured conditions. This moment helped reinforce her image as a serious young artist with exceptional ability. At the same time, television exposure expanded her reach beyond digital platforms, introducing her to audiences who may not have encountered her online. However, this wider recognition also increased expectations, as public visibility often leads to greater scrutiny. Each performance became part of a larger narrative about her talent and future potential. While such moments can be exciting, they also add responsibility, especially for someone still growing personally and artistically. This phase of her journey highlights how modern musicians often move between digital and traditional media, each platform shaping their identity in different ways while contributing to their overall artistic development and public perception. Life during global disruption and adaptation. When global circumstances changed daily life around the world, Karolina's performance routine also had to adapt significantly. Public performances and street music were no longer possible, which meant she had to shift her creative expression to digital spaces. Instead of performing in front of live audiences, she began recording from home environments. This change altered the emotional experience of music, as the immediate feedback of a crowd was replaced by virtual interaction. While she continued to share her performances, the atmosphere was different, more private and reflective. To maintain artistic connection, she explored collaborations with other young musicians, which helped recreate a sense of shared creativity despite physical distance. These collaborations offered emotional support during a time when many performers felt isolated. The situation also encouraged her to experiment with new ways of presenting music, using available resources creatively. Although challenging, this period became an important learning experience, teaching her adaptability and resilience. It demonstrated that artistic expression does not depend only on physical stages but can continue in different forms when creativity remains strong. This phase also helped her grow emotionally, as she learned to maintain passion even in uncertain and changing conditions. Pressure, practice, and emotional challenges. Behind Karolina's smooth and confident performances lies a demanding routine that requires constant practice and dedication. As her audience grew, so did the expectations placed on her output and consistency. Maintaining a high level of performance meant spending long hours practicing, refining techniques, and sometimes repeating recordings until they met the desired standard. While music remained something she loved, the structured demands of her career sometimes created emotional fatigue. Balancing passion with responsibility became a continuous challenge. Even at a young age, she had to understand how to manage time, energy, and expectations in a professional way. This type of pressure is common among young performers in digital spaces, where audiences expect regular content and visible progress. Despite these challenges, she continued to develop her skills and remained committed to her music. Her experience shows that talent alone is not enough to sustain a long-term artistic journey. Emotional strength, discipline, and the ability to manage pressure are equally important in maintaining growth. Through this process, she learned not only how to perform better but also how to navigate the emotional complexity that comes with being a young artist in a highly visible environment. Musical identity and artistic growth. Over time, Karolina's violin playing evolved from simple interpretations into a more personal and expressive form of artistry. Her instrument became a way for her to communicate emotions that could not always be expressed through words. This transformation reflected her growing maturity as both a musician and an individual. She began to experiment with blending classical techniques and modern music styles, creating performances that felt both familiar and new. This ability to merge different musical worlds helped her connect with a wide audience while also developing her own artistic identity. Rather than simply reproducing existing music, she started interpreting it in her own emotional language. This shift marked an important stage in her growth, showing that her journey was not only about technical skill but also about personal expression. Her musical identity became something shaped by experience, practice, and emotional understanding rather than sudden fame. This gradual evolution is what gives her performances depth and sincerity. It reflects a young artist learning to define herself not by popularity alone, but by the meaning and feeling she brings to every note she plays.